goes through the findings that we have that we went through last week, including the 338,000 more votes than voters who voted. And whereas these findings trample accuracy requirements of voting systems for a federal election, wherein the system shall achieve a target error rate of no more than 1 in 10 million ballot positions. That's federal law. For a voting system, accuracy is defined as the ability of the system to capture, record, store, consolidate, and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by the voter for each ballot position without error. State and federal officials have met the efforts of New York Citizens Audit to seek redress for these egregious violations with indifference and inaction, including the Attorney General, Secretary of State, State Board of Elections, Inspector General, Federal Bureau of Investigations, state leadership of Democrat and Republican parties, county election officials, sheriffs, district attorneys, and others. Whereas none of these violations were addressed prior to the administration and certification of the 2022 general election, and there prevails a spirit of extreme contention and zero trust between people of differing political ideologies across New York, which is destructive to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of these United States. Therefore, we call upon our representatives, including town board members, county legislators, state legislators, federal legislators, law enforcement, federal and state prosecutors, and judges to provide relief to the people and the assurance of domestic tranquility through the fulfillment of each of the following firm requests. 1, we're asking for a complete end-to-end audit of the New York State 2022 general election for both paper and electronic records, including ballots, by a mutually agreed upon external third-party bonded auditing firm, possessed of adequate insurance and indemnification for the handling and protection of the personal identifying information of millions of New York citizens in order to determine the true error rate. This audit will provide a comprehensive report and analysis of all lapses and errors with explanation of cause where it can be determined. 2, the enactment of legislation defining a mutually agreed upon process by which an end-to-end audit would be triggered in any future elections. 3, the enactment of legislation defining a mutually agreed upon accuracy rate for the New York State voter and county voter roll databases. 4, the enactment of legislation allowing for anonymous vote verification and tracking by the voter, open source, royalty-free, patent pending, including automatic mechanisms to report and remedy errors during the canvass period following an election, regardless of ballot entry source. 5, criminalize election misconduct explicitly with regard to state election law, and increase penalties to reflect the societal and generational harms inflicted by these crimes. Those are the things that we're asking you to sign a resolution for. And I think you have something.
Well, we just know that everybody's not here tonight, so, and this is a lot of information, and we understand the complexity around it and the focus that it brings. We have given you the peer-reviewed study and information, but we just ask that in a future meeting, you'd be able to vote on this when you have your full board and full attendance, so you can give it the due course that it resolves. We also understand that many of the things we ask for are not within your purview. But by you approving a resolution to ask people on the chain of command upwards to take some action, which hasn't happened yet, it can begin the process of what needs to get done to make sure the elections are free, fair, and every legal vote counts.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody have questions?
Well, I found it troubling that you're not willing to share with us what towns have asked this resolution.
I'll share with you individually, personally, we've just made a decision not to blast the towns. We also aren't sharing with you the ones who haven't passed it either. So we just feel like it's better to just people act on their own. I can share. I think I offered to share with you privately. I'll be happy to go over those towns, give you some individual names of towns that have passed it. But you're representing these folks in this town, so that's what matters. It doesn't matter what somebody in Erie County did, but we can show you some of those names individually, just not publicly.
Also, I I would say that, you know, all we're doing is asking for an audit. We're not asking you to overturn an election or anything, just an audit, like, wouldn't you want to have, like, you know, if there's any question that the rolls are not accurate, wouldn't you want to know that as citizens and stuff, right? That's all we're asking for.
I know all the information.
Pardon me?
I know all the information, just like Mary Jo up there. Who else is doing it? I'm a citizen. I'm a voter. Who else is put in for this? Why does it have to be all under the table?
You mean what other towns have done?
Yep,
Yeah, but again, I mean,
it does matter. My name's
Right.
gonna be out there if he's gonna be discussing it underneath the table somewhere with some other
It's not
town.
discussed under the table. We just don't
You're
publish.
just doing it here, you're keeping us out of the loop, that's under the table.
I don't think I understand your question, actually.
Why won't you tell it in public? It's my vote too that's out there.
No, tell
You're
what
gonna,
is-
you're gonna, let me finish. You're gonna go ahead and talk to everybody else, other out of town that you're trying to talk into this crap, all right? With my vote, saying, well, these people did it, and then now my name's in the roll here somewhere. I wanna know who all's done it first before we make a resolution. And I make that resolution, that you don't do it until they say it in public.
You're seeking transparency.
That's correct.
He's seeking transparency.
So if we gave you the name of every
Different
single town we
point of view.
presented it to, you'd be fine?
Them,
They give them this, okay.
in public, and it's announced in public at a meeting.
But you're okay with 338,000 more votes than voters?
like,
Prove it.
He didn't say anything.
Oh, we-
I didn't say
He just-
anything,
He just
either
wants
way.
transparency.
Okay, that's fine.
But would these people, if they sign it, be okay
You want
with?
transparency? I want transparency.
No, I'm just asking if they would be fine with our sharing this town if they signed it with every other
That's
town
what
we
I'm
went
saying.
to.
Okay.
Our votes are public record.
and theirs is too.
And theirs is
actually,
too,
yeah.
it's on the
Yeah.
Yeah,
website.
it's just,
Yeah.
you know, which one to look up.
If that's gonna make or break what you wanna know who's signed the town, we're honestly just trying to be fair to those towns. You understand how this stuff is portrayed sometimes, where people get attacked for what the votes they've done or how things have been presented. We're just
We don't
trying to-
want you to be
We don't
attacked.
want anybody to be attacked. We just wanna bring it to those towns. You guys look at it at its own merit, and you decide on its own merit. And regardless of however many towns have seen it, or signed it. Well, I don't know what difference, other than giving people support, coverage, whatever you want to say, it doesn't really matter what other towns have
I know I
done.
took phone calls from both sides.
Okay,
Just
That's
saying.
good.
I mean, it was in the paper the
Yeah.
following day, and I took phone calls on both sides.
I'm sure you did, yeah.
Can I ask like why they would not want an audit? Like, I mean, the people
I didn't
you
say
talk
we
to?
did run an audit. I'm just saying, who else is going to approve the
Yeah,
audit?
right,
I didn't say we shouldn't do one. I didn't say there wasn't corruption. I didn't say anything.
right,
I just want transparency on my end.
okay,
If we do an audit, then we can find things out.
yeah, it's
That's
just
all we're
that,
asking for, we're just asking for find things out.
Okay.
and that would be the true transparency, I would think.
Yeah, that would be the true transparency, that's right, yeah.
All right, thank you. We're gonna move on.